Hello, 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 everybody. This is a saxophonist, well, I should say alto saxophonist, Lakecia Benjamin. I am excited to be on AVJ today. This is my first time actually doing anything where I'm speaking by myself for 30 minutes about my life and things that have happened. So here we go. Basically, I am an alto saxophonist predominantly. I am born and raised in New York City from Washington Heights, New York, and I am extremely, extremely proud of that. How did I get into jazz? I come from a non musical family. So no one in my family played anything. They had no talent. There wasn't even a grandma that could hold a tune. She couldn't sing anything. So it was mostly people that just were working regular jobs. So when I was in elementary school, they offered to move me to band, chorus, or art. We had to take one of those extracurricular activities. So I knew right away that chorus is not going to be my calling just from my singing talent at home. And I had a little sister that didn't appreciate me singing the songs on the radio. So I went to art and I looked around the room. I started painting and seeing how I felt about that and actually felt pretty good about it. Luckily, that art teacher was an actual saxophonist. And he said, do you like the saxophone? I said, yeah, I love it. He said, how do you know? I said, I don't know. Something about the word and everything just makes me feel like I love it. So he took me to the band room. When I went to the band room, he introduced me to a guy named Sergio Larios, and there were instruments all around the room. And he said, do you see anything in here that you think you want to play? And I looked up, saw a trombone, a couple other things that I couldn't recognize, and I saw the alto sax. And I said, that right there, I want to play that one. He said, that's an alto saxophone. I said, okay, sign me up. He said, there are no more alto saxophones available. So you can come back another time when there is one. I said, okay, no problem, sir. I actually went all around the school and found all the alto saxophone players in the school that were in his band. And I made an agreement, let's say, with them of who would give up their saxophone to go to art and I could go to band. So maybe it was a couple Oreos. I'm not sure what it was, but I had a true Washington Heights barter deal and I got into the band and started getting books. And that's how I started. I grew up in a predominantly, I guess, Latin culture, mostly Dominicano over there. So my first upbringing was playing a lot of merengue, a lot of salsa, a lot of bachata, a lot of just stuff from that culture. And I honestly loved it. And merengue music, the alto is the lead. So I was having the time of my life keeping people on the dance floor. And this particular band director was actually setting up gigs for us. Like 3 times a week, we played at the bus station, we played at the corner store, we played outside on the street. And then the other 4 days, we had after school practice. So that's basically how I started. After that, there was a time where I had to go to high school. And in that time, at our zoned high school, New York had a law. If you lived in a certain neighborhood, you had to go to that school unless you went to a specialized school. So the school that was near me was known for a lot of drug sales, a lot of violence, a lot of problems. So I knew right away if I went to that school, I'm not going to make it. So I auditioned for LaGuardia High School. And when I got there was a guy named Bob Stewart. I don't know if you know him. He was a very prominent tuba player at the time. And he auditioned me. And I think I played Charlie Parker's Yardbird Suite. And he asked me, have I ever heard of jazz before? Why did I pick that song? And I said, oh, it was in a book in my school. And he said, are you familiar with jazz? I said, nope. And he said, yeah, I can tell by the way that you're playing it because you're playing it kind of with like a mambo feel. So he asked me would I be interested in jazz? And he said he thinks I'm a good sight reader. I have a good feel. And if I put some work into it, he thinks I could be good and I can go to school. So I told him, I'll do whatever you want, sir. So he gave me a list of CDs I should get from Tower Records. The first one was Dizzy Gillespie. The next one was Charlie Parker. What was the other one? Charles Mingus. There was a Sonny Rollins in there. And I can't remember. Oh, Kenny Garrett. Kenny Garrett was on the list. So I went out and found a way to get these CDs. And the first one I put on was Duke Ellington. First song, Duke Ellington. First solo, Clark Terry. And I immediately fell in love with it. And I called him and I said, I would love to be in your school. I would love to learn jazz. And I'm going to start by learning all the music on these CDs. And I'll see you at school. So that year, my freshman year, I was in senior jazz band, holding on for dear life with all the seniors playing at school. The good thing about LaGuardia High School at the time is, like I said, Bob Stewart. So he was already playing in Nicholas Payton's band. He was playing in Sam Rivers' band. He was playing in Henry Threadgill's orchestra. He was playing with I mean, so many people, Brass Fantasy, he was playing with Steve Coleman. So these people were coming to my school like once a week and having their rehearsals at the school. So, and if we didn't go to the rehearsal, we were tasked with getting an F for not showing up. So I was at all of the rehearsals because I was scared to get kicked out the school and go back to my zone school. So that's really how I got started in jazz. And I guess just watching all of that diversity in music, across the street from LaGuardia is the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. So I was going to their rehearsals to see them play, and then coming back and seeing Hall, Richard Abrams play, coming back and seeing like the Thad Jones Mellows play. So they were the Vanguard Orchestra at that time, but just seeing all of these different things was really opened me up to the idea that jazz has many, many shades and many, many forms, and they're all under this beautiful umbrella. I wasn't raised like, oh, if you don't swing the Count Basie, you're not good enough. I was raised that you can swing the Count Basie and you can swing the Sun Ra. So that gave me, I guess, an idea that kind of anything is possible. From there, I went on to the new school, and the new school was, I guess, a dose of reality. I was struggling just to pay the rent and tuition at the new school. I was struggling to, I guess, start getting jobs and start getting things out there and start getting, I guess, finding a place. So those were like, I guess, the roughest years, but I also had some of the best teachers in my life there. I was studying with Steve Wilson. I was studying with Gary Bartz. I was studying with Reggie Workman. I had Joe Chambers. I had Charles Tolliver. So Joanne Brackeen. I had people that were living the life right then that were clear that if you keep going down this path, they'll be away from you. So that's kind of like my starts and upbringings in it. I guess I got into having my own band and trying to lead my own stuff from that experience. When I was at the new school, I had started playing with Clark Terry. I actually got a phone call one day asking me, saying this is Clark Terry. So I just hung up the phone thinking it was a joke, one of my friends at school calling me. And then he called back and he said, Lakecia. I said, yes, sir. He said, don't ever hang the phone up on me again. I said, okay, is this really Clark Terry? And he started playing. And I know that sound anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mr. Terry. I'm so sorry. And he let me know that he was looking to start a band full of young people. And he got my number from someone. They recommended me, and he wanted me to come to his house to audition. I have never had an audition or anything like that for a professional. So I said, okay, where do I have to be? He goes, oh, do you know where New Jersey is? I said, nope, no idea where New Jersey is. He said, well, you need to get here. So here's the address, and I'll see you in an hour. So I literally went outside asking all of my friends, can I borrow $1? Can I borrow $1? Till I got $20. And then I took a gypsy cab from Washington Heights to Clark Terry's house. I was also told you don't go into any man's house that you don't know. So when the door opened, it was his beautiful wife, Gwen Terry. I was like, oh, how you doing, ma'am? I'm here to audition for Mr. Clark Terry. And she said, okay, he's down there in the basement. Just go down the stairs. And I told her, I can't go down the stairs to be with no man in the basement. And she said, well, I'm sorry, baby. You're going to have to go down there to audition. So I didn't know what to do. So I actually took my saxophone out of the case and tried to hold it like a little bat. I guess I'm me thinking maybe Clark Terry's crazy. So I'm walking down the stairs with my sax, kind of looking like a hammer. And he sees me coming down the stairs and he just says, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know, sir. He said, please set that saxophone up and sit down. And I want you to play that music on the stand. So I said, okay, no problem. He has the music on the stand. And something in my intuition just said to ask him, I said, do you want to count me off? And he said, that's the first step of good. He said, I'll count you off. And out of nowhere, I just heard the most enthusiastic, literally 1, 2. And it scared the hell out of me. But I kept my composure and I just started playing the song. Maybe 20 seconds into the song, he says, you're good. You got the job. I said, what? He said, yeah, you got the job. And I said, you sure about that? He said, do you want to keep auditioning? I said, no, sir. He said, good. He said, put that music stand over there. And for the next 2.5 hours, we started playing standards together. He would just start playing a melody and he would just, I guess, see if I knew it. And I would walk a bass line. Then he would play the bass line. Then I would solo. And we did that back and forth the entire night. And it was actually, I guess, one of the best experiences of my life to sit next to somebody that I've looked up to for the little time that I knew jazz. And to get to spend all that time, 2 hours, 3 hours playing with him. And then we spent the rest of the night just talking about music and him telling me about what it was like in St. Louis and just what life was like. So I went home that night and he actually gave me the money to get back home. And he said, I'll see you in Europe. And our first gig was at Marion's Jazz Room in Bern, Switzerland. So I had never been out anywhere, and I think it was Marcus Strickland on. No, not Marcus Strickland. Sorry, Marcus Gilmore on drums, Derek Hodge on bass, and they invited Helen Sung to be on piano to kind of somebody to keep the rhythm section together since we were all so young. And that's my first gig. I went from there to I started playing with Rashid Ali, and I think he got my number from Reggie Workman since I was studying with Reggie, but also playing with him gigs on the side. So he heard about that from Rashid. James Blood Ulmer heard about me, so I started playing with him. Then I started playing with Joanne. Then Christian McBride started calling, so it started kind of rolling over a little bit, but it still wasn't enough to, I guess, keep me from having to have a job. So I ended up getting a job at the supermarket, and I was going to school, working at the supermarket, then going to jam sessions at night. Then I would wake up around 6 a.m. and go to the practice room until my 10 o'clock class and just keep that whole thing going. And that was like my cycle for a good 4 or 5 years until trying to figure it out. Somewhere along the line, people were seeing me out on the street. And I remember I was walking down West 4th, and somebody said, "Hey, saxophone girl." So I thought it was a cat call. And he was asking me if I wanted to do a rehearsal with Missy Elliott. And I just thought that was just a complete joke and a lie. And that he was just trying to, figure out, a date. But somehow he gave me his number. I ended up just taking a chance and calling. And when I went over there, sure enough, that's what it was. And, she came up to me and asked me, do you have any friends that play the other horns, trombone and trumpet? I said, "Oh, yeah, I do." And she said, "Oh, you the boss of them?" I said, "Oh, yeah, yes, ma'am, I'm the boss." And she said, "Okay, I'll pay you this much and you distribute it to your guys. You guys get down here tomorrow." And that's how we started. And from doing that kind of stuff, I kind of got a reputation for being an MD at the horn section. So I started playing with Alicia Keys. I started playing with Lil Wayne. I started playing with Jay-Z. I started playing with all these other hip hop artists on the side because they were trying to have horn players around that time. Eventually, I got a little bit fed up of chasing the hip hop money, let's say, and I started luckily getting into some more. Uh, they were still commercial, but like Stevie Wonder, I started playing with. I started playing with Prince. I started playing with Regina Belle. I started playing with Anita Baker. So those have long stories of how I got those gigs. I mean, most of my life has a interesting story of how I even got to the place I got to. I would say most of the things I was doing was just trying to be seen, just trying to find a way for myself. I think I realized early on that no one is going to make a way for me. I'm working at the supermarket, I'm at school. All of my friends were doing tours and out there trying to make things happen, and nothing was happening for me. So I would say the greatest advice I got to kind of get on the path of starting to even get called to play with other people to be seen was from Gary Bartz. I was studying with him at the new school, and one day I was looking out the window while he was talking to me. He said, "What are you out there looking at?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm listening to you." And he said, "You see those people out there? They're going to work." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I want you to realize that you have a job as well. And even if you have a gig or not, every day from now on, you're in the business of Lakecia Benjamin." He said, "From now on to the last time I see you, your job is to promote that business of Lakecia Benjamin." He said, "So people go to work 8 hours, 10 hours a week. It's now your job for 8 to 10 hours a day to get up, wake up, and from 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, start your business." He says, "So I don't care if you practice 2 hours a day, you write that in your journal. Then you spend an extra hour figuring out where all the clubs that people are playing at. You need to go call those clubs and see, can you get a job in there?" He said, "I want you to look online. All the alto players you see that are doing things and people that you look up and doing things you want to do, find out where they're doing it. Find a way to meet these people." So I think that's really something that I think even to this day, defined me and stuck with me. The idea that no one is going to make an opportunity, and it's going to take an enormous amount of work and belief and, I guess, drive and dedication in myself to do these things. I think sometimes a lot of musicians believe that, opportunities are owed because I've practiced so much, because I work so hard, because I can play, because I'm great, that great things are ahead for you. And I'm really starting to learn that opportunities come to those that take the first step. So I would say to everybody out there, don't be afraid to take the first step. If you want to start a business, get up and start the business. Don't just stay at home and pray and come up with excuses. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. You need a first step. So if you only have $1, then you invest that dollar in the business and you start. So that's what I try to do day to day. day to day. And when I started my first band, Soul Squad, that's kind of how it went. I wasn't able to get any gigs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to find a way to get a gig for myself. So I went around it. I actually made a little demo recording and I put it on a CD and burnt it and was going around the city giving it to club owners and everybody saying, can you listen to this? This is my band. This is my band. And I figured the more opportunities that I started getting for the band, the more I was able to pay my bills. And the more people were starting to look at me as a person that has something to offer than someone wanting to take. I'm not trying to take a gig from you. I'm trying to offer gigs and money for you and me. So I think that's a crucial part of life, being someone that's of service, that you help your community and you also get help back from the community, not a take situation. So currently I am on Phoenix. The project I had before this was called Pursuance the Coltrane's, and that was a tribute to John and Alice Coltrane. That project was something new for me and it was something pretty dear to me. I just decided to do that project because I was doing before that kind of some R&B and hip hop functions and stuff, and I wanted to come back to something that had a little bit more harmonic complexity. I felt like I was in a box playing just, I guess, a P funk groove only in E flat. I felt like I couldn't really get out of the box as much. John and Alice Coltrane to me are somebody that I look up to not because who are better musicians than them, but because of the way they go through life and looking at humanity, the way they believe that God is supreme, and the way that they believe that their music is here to heal and here to love and here for other people. So that's kind of like the motto of how I'm trying now to live my life. I decided to do these type of projects to try to, while I'm here in my little time on earth, leave some type of legacy behind. I feel passionate about not only the Coltrane's, but that there's a lot of jazz musicians out here that are older and have paved the way for me to come and even be on a platform like this, or me to be at the shows I'm doing, and that the opportunities that I have were made by these people. And they're not always giving their credit and their flowers while they're here. So I wanted to do a project that highlighted the living legends that I felt are right here, right now. And that if I get some kind of credit for this album, it will show the rest of the world and the rest of the genres that there's a Ron Carter out there, that there's a Dee Dee Bridgewater out there, there's a Gary Bartz out there. So we had them, we had Reggie Workman, we had Michelle DeGiacello, we had Greg Osby, we had Regina Carter, we had Steve Wilson. I mean, we went through a plethora of people just to kind of show that this music is intergenerational and it's alive whether you're 20 or whether you're 80. That without the 80-year-old, there's no way I can be going on a European tour this month. Because Ron Carter went to Paris, now I can go to Paris. So that's kind of the gist behind that project. And I also wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to play music that, was hard, that was going to push me to become the best person I could be and just be at the best level that I could be at. Now I am on Phoenix. Phoenix has the same principle of that. It came out January 27th on Whirlwind Records, and it has been getting, to my surprise, a lot of reviews, a lot of positive reviews, and a lot of positive press. We were lucky to be cover of Downbeat, the cover of Jazzwise, cover of Wall Street Journal, the cover of New York Times. I mean, I've never had something like that happen. So to have a project that come out and experience that, most of my projects, I shouldn't say most of them, all of my projects, I fund myself. I come up with the money to do it. I reach out to the talent. I reach out to the special guests, and I kind of put the whole thing together. So to put that kind of money behind a project during the pandemic when you should be saving your money gave me, I guess, some hope that, what I'm doing is in the right direction. Phoenix features, the producer is the great Terry Lynn Carrington. But it features a lot of women that I feel have not gotten the recognition they deserve. I mean, they're still prominent and, of course, they're household names, but they each have a unique path to get there. They each started off not getting what they deserve, and now they're starting to get that. So I had Angela Davis on the album. I had, who do we have? Patrice Rushing, Sonia Sanchez, Diane Reeves. We had rest in peace, Mr. Wayne Shorter. That was a hard one for me to hear about, I think, this past week, that he had passed on. So I'm glad that I got the opportunity to work with him and to meet him. The first time I met him was back in the Monterey Jazz Festival. I was there playing with Gregory Porter, and I was backstage, and I went there to watch his set. He was playing a set with strings and everything. And when I got backstage, Quincy Jones was standing back there. So I went and introduced myself, and he was like, "Oh, you know, I think he thought I was cute, honestly. 'Cause I totally shouldn't have been back there. But he was very pleasant to me, asked me my sign and name. Usually sign and name means somebody thinks you're cute. So I took that opportunity to keep talking. And then after the set, Wayne Shorter came back, and Quincy Jones says, "I want you to meet a young lady on the scene. This is Lakecia Benjamin." So we took our pictures, and that was my first interaction with him. He asked me, how did I think about music? And I say, "I'm just trying to do Earth some good." And he said, "Do the planet some good. Do the universe some good." And then he just walked away. So that was our first interaction. So I was saddened to hear that he had passed. I was surprised to me, but I'm glad that he's not in the same pain anymore. And I'm glad that the world got to experience Wayne Shorter. So the producer of my album, Terry Lynn Carrington, was an extreme, that was her mentor. That was somebody. So something you don't know about Terry Lynn Carrington, she is a perfectionist. So if you have an album and Terry Lynn Carrington produces your album, you will not make any mistakes because she will erase them and make you play it again. So that's a positive thing. We are playing at March 11th at Harlem Stage in New York. And I'm excited about that because that's the only New York show I have for months. So we will be using it as a CD release party. So I will be selling CDs and LPs and partying until I can't stop. And then we will be going to Europe for the next 3 weeks to travel around and spread the gospel of Phoenix. This is my first time really playing this music live. So it's going to be interesting how it develops, how it pushes me, how the audiences receive it. I don't know the AVJ function. If you guys have any questions for me or any things that you may want to know about, feel free to put them in those comments. Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling about my chaotic life. Why did I name the album Phoenix? I named the album Phoenix because during the Pursuance the Coltrane's period, I was in a terrible car accident. And it wasn't one of those car accidents where you just crash off the road and you think, what happened? It was, I remember I was coming from the Tri-C Jazz Fest in Cleveland. And at that time, I was still afraid to kind of fly in the pandemic. So I flew the band there and I decided I was going to drive. I drove there. We did the set. And Samara Joy played before me. Then I played and Christian Sands was after me and, a lineup of people. So we played the set. The audience loved it. Everything was great. It felt like the music was really coming together. And on the way home, I remember I was watching the sun come up. Everything was great. I was listening to one of my favorite Kenny Garrett songs and singing the solo along. And the next thing I remember, I'm on the side of the road in the mountain, completely clueless as to what is going on, what has happened. I think I've crashed. I think I might have called my manager and see, hey, what happened? And I was going in and out of consciousness. I couldn't understand where I was, what had happened to me. And when I turned my head, I didn't realize I was in the car or not. I saw like a really slim truck driver looking kind of guy. And he's like, "We're going to get you out of this car." And I said, "Oh my God." And when I looked closer, I could see that he had an NRA hat on. And that's when I knew I was not dead. I was still alive. This is not heaven. They don't send that to greet you. And he was trying to cut me out of the car, drag me out of the car, pull me out of the car to just find out where I was. So that was pretty traumatic. I mean, long story short, I ended up breaking 3 ribs. I broke my scapula. I dislocated my jaw and I thought that's all. And then it turned out it was actually broke. I was concussed. I had some neurological damage. I had to go to a lot of physical therapy for that. And I learned the true value of being alive and to take advantage of the opportunities while you're alive. So since that day, I have been living my life to the fullest because I never know when it won't be there. So that's why I named the album Phoenix. I thought it was a good reflection of what it feels like to die and kind of like burst into ashes and from those ashes be born again. And I just felt like as a people, all the people on earth going through this COVID-19, going through all this gun violence, all going through these school shootings, all this kind of stuff, we all are going through our own kind of death and trauma. And we need to be kind of born again from that. And like, it just shows how resilient I am and how resilient we are all as humans. So I felt that people could identify with that feeling of just going through it. So I wanted to give some people just some kind of inspiration from my story that if I could survive that and if I can move forward and play tours and stuff with a broken jaw and everything, Think about the power we all have to do whatever we want to do all of our dreams, to do the things that serve us. Like for me, music is not, of course, I'm living my dreams. Of course, it's my purpose. Of course, it's why I'm here. But it's also my purpose is to serve. My purpose is not to become a rock star. If I can fly first class, great. If I can buy a house or something like that, great. That's what I would love to live comfortably. But my actual purpose is for here is to give the people some kind of message and some kind of healing. And I believe that musicians need to focus on that more. Why is the music important, and why are you playing this music? And your audience matters. It matters how they feel. The music you play towards that audience matters. And they have come to see you because they want to be excited. They want to experience you, but they also want to experience something. So it's not for you just to be up there to playing things that you love and you love to do and forget about them. So I will tell that to musicians out there. Remember the audience, because it is because of them that we are here, So keep that going. Tell us about your work with the elders on both Phoenix and Pursuance. Amazing. Basically, all of those people that I have, a lot of people, I should clear this up right now because people have asked me in interviews, am I getting all these guests because they have great household names and it will bring attention to my project? And that will help me in my career blossom into the young artist I am, into a more mature pre NEA jazz master. No, I'm getting the guests because I would like to be in relationship with them. I look up to them, their work I look up to, and I feel that they have something they can teach me. So I'm actually with my guests looking for mentorship. I'm looking to establish a relationship. If I start with Ron Carter, I'm looking from this moment on for us to be in relationship. I can text you and call you and hear what it's like to play with Miles. I can hear what it's like to be on the most recorded bass player ever. I can hear from you. How do you take care of your body? Do you get up and eat breakfast? Do you work out every day? What kind of foods are you eating to make sure that you stay in shape? How did you get to be 85? So those are the things I'm looking for when I get each guest. I'm looking to fill in the holes that I have in my own life. And I feel like that's just what jazz is. The generation before you shows you the way of how to go. If I don't get to play with these great people, how am I ever going to be great? So those are the reasons why I have the elders. With Phoenix, I try to expand outside of just the music world. I was interested to hear from Sonia Sanchez. What is it like to know Malcolm X? What does Malcolm X eat? What did he smell like? When he came into the room, did you feel a presence, or did you feel just like he was an average person? Was he humble? These are things that you can't read in a book. These are things they just tell you the facts. Dr. Martin Luther King had a speech. I want to know what it's like to feel to be there when the speech happened. Were you there when he wrote it? Did he call you and run it by you? So those are the things I'm looking for. I'm looking for experiences that I can't get in a book from a time that I can't go back to and be born in. So we are almost done with AVJ. We got 2 minutes left. So if you have a question, this is a good time to do it. But I will say I am grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the stuff happening in my career. Some of the dates we can't post, but we are going to be all around the world this year. This is probably the year that has the most gigs and everything that's happened. So if you're an artist out there, thank your management, thank your agents, thank the people that fight behind the scenes for you, the sound people, the people that are delivering the drinks. Remember that we are all connected. And also remember that your team can only work as hard as you work. Do not expect your management to work harder than you're working. You are the fuel and the gas to your vision. I guess I should talk a little bit about Burlington. So this year, there are 2 positions I've gained. I am the artist in residence at the Monterey Jazz Festival. So I will be doing some work with the kids there. And of course, I'll be playing at the festival. Otherwise, I'm not going. I'm just playing. I'll be at the festival. But also a big part of my job there will be in the educational field. I have a severe passion for making sure that the stuff I know gets passed down while I'm here to people that are really right now. If you're 14 right now, you're 10 years away from being on the stage with me. So I want to make sure that you get the information you need, especially if you can't afford it. So we'll be doing a summer camp with them at Monterey. And during the festival, I'll be playing with the kids and stuff. And people know in general, my IG is LAKECIA, like the government, B. So if you want to reach out to me and you're younger and you have some questions, I will always answer that and try to help you not make the mistakes I've made and to help guide you along the path of just what I feel you should be like. And that's if you're a woman in jazz, that's if you're a man in the jazz. I don't care if you're a camel in jazz. I'm here to talk about that stuff. The second position is I am the artistic director of the Burlington Jazz Fest. That is crazy to say that out loud, but that is what I am. I will be deciding the lineup. I will be deciding what vendors come through. I'll be deciding where the police stand and do they block the bike path. So this is a huge undertaking to me to try to figure out how to manage a budget, to try to manage the political politics into being a festival director. It's one thing in music, in this we all know in the music scene there's politics there, but there's definitely politics in booking a festival, trying to make room for your friends and people that you want to be seen, but also trying to stay true to the vision. So we are celebrating the 40th anniversary. They have had this festival 40 years, and the first year was Sarah Vaughan. So we're going to start off with honoring Sarah Vaughan, and we are allowed to announce that we have the great Samara Joy. And that brings me so much joy just to see someone not have to wait. 23 years old, she is the 2023 Grammy Best New Artist and 2023 Best New Jazz Vocal Album. So I'm excited to see that they are not sitting around waiting for people to earn their credit sometimes. They are giving it to the young stars that we have. So that Grammy night was great for me just to see someone in her position that now can move forward in her career without having to chase an accolade. The accolade is already with her and she can do what she dreams. And then to watch someone, a mentor to me, Terry Lynn Carrington, that has been working day and night, night and day, doing the people's work and has taken this long to get the credit she deserves, stand up there and win another Grammy. A lot of people don't know that there is only one woman that won Best Instrumental Grammy, and that is Terry Lynn in 2014. And in 2023, she won it again. So she is the only two of the same women that have won that. And that might go into the Guinness Book of Records. There has been no woman of any other race, demographic, anything that has won. So that's why I'm always shouting her praises, because that is a huge accomplishment. She's one of the only women that has an NEA Masters Award that is not 70 years old. So I'm grateful for that. I don't know who this is who's curious about my upbringing. I'm so grounded. It is good to mention that I was not always grounded. I was wild, 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 and I am still wild. If I feel like jumping on your stage and you're famous, I will jump up there and pray to God that it works. So now I think a little bit of life experience is teaching me that just keep going. You know, there's a lot of disappointment out here in music. As artists, we feel that no one's looking. Sometimes you feel so alone. You're putting all your money, all your time into your career, all your energy into making these CDs, $30,000, $40,000 just to get a CD out there, and you can't even get a gig. As an artist, you get more no's than yes. So I think what's grounding me a little bit is to learn that if I don't get any no's, they are the door openers to the yes. Every time I got a no, now a yes feels like super motivation. You know, so it helps. Every time I failed, I've learned, yeah, maybe you don't want to put that song first in your CD. Oh, maybe you don't want to call somebody without I have an introduction, you know? Maybe you don't want to demand things from people until you get into a relationship with them. So those things have showed me that, you know, you're going to get some no's, but the yeses feel a lot better when you're staying there. Or you could do it like Reggie Workman told me. He told me, you don't have to worry about getting a Jazz Master Award, Lakecia. You just have to be the last man standing. So take care of your body, work out, take care of your health, and eventually you're the only one there. So you'll have to get it. So I don't know. Oh, we are over the time. I was gonna play a song for you guys. I don't know if you want to hear a song, if you have a question, but I should get out of here because of my practice schedule. So what I will do, please do play something. So what I do is I will play something. If I don't see any questions in the comments when I finish playing, I will say goodbye. And thank you for having me. Thank you for Gail Boyd for making this wonderful venue for people to just connect. I remember in the height of the pandemic, AVJ was all that was on my computer because there was nothing to do and nothing to see. So now we're in this world where we're pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, current pandemic. We don't know where we are, but we know we're all here together. And we know I'm hoping for the best. Monty Croft, love you, brother. I actually, didn't I meet you for the first time the night I met Angela Davis? I was playing a show with Terry Lynn, and Angela was on the show. Lakecia, Liz Wright, so all of them. And after Valerie Simpson, she was on the show, she wanted to have a get together at her club, and that's what it was. So it was great. So that's how it happened. I'm gonna play a song now. If you're a musician out there, let me know if you can't hear nothing, because you know how these sound systems go and it goes over the web. I love you guys. I'm grateful for everybody out there. I'm grateful for everybody on the planet. I'm rooting for you. Hopefully, you're rooting for me. And if not, I still love you. And hopefully, we can see each other in these festivals coming up and all these places we can be, and we can be there together. But if you don't know anything about Lakecia Benjamin, know that I'm full of love and I'm happy to be doing my craft and I'm happy to be passing that down to the next generation. So, okay, I'll play. I'll play Facebook user. Check, check, check. And we're back live from the radio and we're out.